Hey, how's it going? I wanted to do a quick little behind the scenes video of my latest short film, In My Head. I just want to get right into it and break down a couple shots that I think were pretty interesting, and you might find interesting too. The first shot I wanted to break down was the second shot you see in the film, where it shows me sitting watching TV, but you're viewing it from inside the TV. First, I just started with this regular shot of myself here, sitting, watching TV. Next, I got a shot of the TV itself, kind of opposite of what the first shot was. Then I masked out the TV screen and put it over a black background. I put a Lumetri color effect on that black background, and according to what was on screen at the time, I tinted the black background, and I also added some adjustments in exposure and brightness, kind of just to give it a little flickering effect, kind of to try and sell it a little bit more. And then once I did that, I added extra layers of black around the edge of the screen, basically trying to show depth, a little darker at the edge and then getting a little bit brighter as it goes back. I added that same tint and flicker effect to all those layers there. As the video goes on, it match cuts from my eye watching TV to my eye looking down at the piece of paper. I thought this was going to be easier to match cut than it was, but with the camera that close, and it's just hard to get that angle perfectly exact to replicate. So what I ended up doing was actually, once I had this first shot, I put it on my monitor. I then put a piece of paper on my monitor, turned up the brightness, and gave a rough outline of where my eye was and where my nose was, where my eyebrow was. And then I compared that to my external monitor, which I held in hand while recording the second shot, trying to match it exactly as I could. The next scene I want to take a look at is the black and white film noir themed scene. The lighting setup was pretty simple. I used my Nanlite Forza 60 with the spotlight attachment. I wanted that harsh light because I feel like a lot of those old-timey crime noir films have a lot of harsh light scenes, especially on the eyes and on the face. So for my first character, I had that coming in from my left side, just hitting me directly. And then on my right side, I had a reflector, a silver reflector, just hanging, just to add a little bit of fill on that right side. I didn't want it to be too much. I wanted there to be some darkness on my face, just to create that dramatic feel. But yeah, it was just a one light setup, and it was pretty simple. When I switched over to the next character, it was basically the same setup, except I took away the reflector. I wanted this to be even more dramatic. I wanted half the face to be in total darkness, because this was the character in control. This was the mysterious character, and I just felt like it worked better. One thing I wish I did, I tried to add a little muzzle flash, a little flash on the whole frame in post, but I wish I just flipped on a light right at the last second just to make it look a little more realistic, but I'm still pretty happy with the result. A little while later, we get into the Western-themed treasure hunting scene. That was lit with just natural light. I was actually down in San Diego, and I got the help of my dad for this shot. And what he did is held a white reflector nice and low off to my right, kind of just filling my face in there. The lighting didn't have to be as dramatic for this one, so I wanted a more flat-looking image. And it was about noonish, midday, so sun was right overhead. I wouldn't say it's ideal, but I would say it definitely fits the Western kind of genre with that harsh sunlight. And when I went down there, I didn't even know if I was going to film this for sure. So I didn't bring any props or any costumes or anything. That's my dad's hat. That's my dad's gloves. We managed to find that big piece of brown treasure map looking paper in the garage somewhere. And I just happened to have a flannel. So I was like, cool, this will work. And luckily my dad always has the tools, so we had a shovel on hand. Next is probably my favorite scene of the entire film. It's the spaceship scene. First off, it starts with this shot of, ground control, the guy in the chair, the guy back on Earth, checking in with the pilot. And how I did this was I first just filmed myself in front of a black background, just saying my lines. I then brought that into Premiere, totally blacked out the rest of the background. Messed with Lumetri quite a bit to get this. I knew I wanted green, but I messed around with it to get this super pure green and black kind of look. Then I added those glitch effects that you see. It's just a plugin that I have, a pack that I bought in the past for Premiere, and that really sold the, spaceship going down kind of effect. And then I just plugged my laptop into my old TV, you see back there, my old CRT TV, and filmed it with my camera. It really gives it an effect that you can't really replicate in post, and I really enjoy that kind of look. Also, one more very minor touch, just to kind of sell that it was in the cockpit with the pilot, was I added the same streams that you see, light streams flying by, very faintly over this, just to kind of show that this was on the screen in there, and there's kind of getting the same reflections that you're seeing in the next shot. And this shot right here is probably my favorite of the whole film. I had this idea in mind, and I didn't know if it was really gonna work out as well as it did, but I was honestly pleasantly surprised. So basically what I did is I found some flashing lights, streaming lights, kind of clips on Storyblocks, and I brought those into Premiere, kind of modified them, edited them, played with the colors, played with the speed, and kind of overlaid a couple on top of each other. Then I used my HDMI cord to put that onto my TV. And so that, everything in the background, everything behind me, everything that's not me is basically my TV. And so then I sat down in front of it. I kept the shot nice and tight so that you wouldn't see, the wall or the shelf right below the TV. And then again, my dad had the props. Found some old sunglasses of his. This is a respirator that he uses for woodworking. I took off the filters just to kind of give it a different look. And what really sold this shot was I basically had my dad holding the tripod and just shaking it, progressively increasing as the video went on. And it really sold the fact that I was like in a spaceship that's going down. And then the rest is just me screaming to myself very awkwardly.
Energy level's drained! We're going down!
And also this portion here was also really benefited by the sound design. I put more time into this portion of the sound design than any other portion of the video by far. There's about 15 tracks of just sound effects going on at this one time. I really wanted to sell the effect, sell the fact that I was inside of a spaceship that was about to crash. And then lastly, almost forgot, those same streaming effects you see on the TV back there, I warped them, changed the blending mode, and threw them over my face, just to kind of give it the effect that you're almost looking into a glass cockpit that I'm in. And then I ended it with a fire overlay. It's literally just like three frames of flames. It's probably hard to notice, but I just wanted something to kind of cap off this scene, that it ended in this big fiery explosion. For the next scene, the therapy kind of scene, that was all just shot in my living room with natural light, just me by myself. We have a big sliding glass windows, and then the apartment building across the alleyway is this big white building. So it kind of works as a giant softbox for our living room, which is really nice when I'm shooting stuff like this. Sun reflects off it and just gives this nice, big, soft light source. One thing I did do is I had a negative fill off to my left when I was laying down. I really don't think it adds much looking back at the footage, but it's there. You can kind of see it, and it just helps add slightly more dimension to my face. And then for the split screen shot here, it's just a basic camera on a tripod, not crossing over the center of the frame, a masking effect that I did in Premiere. I did my takes as the guy on the couch, ran to my room, got changed, ran back, and did my takes as the therapist, making sure not to touch the camera, knocked across the center of the frame, and it ended up being like a 9-minute take, but usually those are pretty long because there's a lot going on and you want to make sure you get it. So definitely take your time on these kind of shots. And that leads us to the final scene of the video. The ending bathroom scene, the ending eyeball scene, whatever you want to call it. I really, really enjoy the final shot of this video. And it was a bit tricky to achieve. I just kind of figured it out as I went. I started by getting just a shot of my eyeball as close to the camera as possible. I have these little macro filters that I screw onto the front of my camera, and it helps just punch in that much more. So I got that shot. I brought that into Premiere. And what I had to do is I had to try and stabilize it as much as possible. In hindsight, I should have taken it into After Effects, tracked it, just so it stabilized, but I thought it wasn't going to be that hard. I thought I didn't move that much, but when you're doing macro photography, you move more than you think. And so I just keyframed it to kind of try and keep my pupil right in the center the whole time. Then I recorded myself, again on a black background. This time, I put on a hoodie backwards. I put the hood over my face so you couldn't see my face, and I just had my arm exposed, and I just reached out towards the camera like I did, like you see the arm doing here. I had a harsh light source. I believe it was my Nanlite with the spotlight attachment. I wanted something kind of dramatic looking. Then I took that shot, brought that into Premiere, cut out the rest of the shot, blacked it out as much as I could, and basically placed that right in the center of my pupil. It wasn't as hard or tricky as it might look, but it did take a little time just to kind of try and get the effect of something living inside your eyeball, living inside your head. And yeah, that's the last shot I wanted to take a look at, but when I started this project, I didn't really know where it was going. I had a rough idea. I had a couple shots in mind, and I just kind of started shooting and figuring it out as I went, which is not usually my strategy. I usually like to have everything laid out and shot listed before I shoot, but this one was different, and it took me a while. It took me nearly 3 months start to finish, so it definitely took some time, but it was worth it, and I'm super happy with the way it turned out. But yeah, that about wraps things up. Thank you for watching. Hope you were able to learn something from this. Hope you enjoyed the short as well. And yeah, I'll be seeing you guys soon.